How you doing, guys? Big Mac Dan School here again today, back once again with another episode of my Conquest series for you. Today, we'll be taking a look through the pages of issue 67. Before we get started on this issue, I just want to remind you to check out the Hobby Corner for more hobby tips. If you were interested in seeing what's coming as the next free gift, I know there's a video gone up there recently that Kev's done that is about not the free gift, sorry, the extras that you can get if you're a subscriber. I'm not a subscriber anymore, so I can't tell you about those extras. But if you're interested in finding out more, definitely pop on over to the Hobby Corner and check out the last 3 videos. I think it's one of the last 3 videos up on his channel over there. So, on to this week's issue. It's issue 67 of Conquest. What do we get in this week's issue? We get Sniper Scouts. Yes! This is something I've been waiting for a little while. I'm excited by sniper rifles. I'm excited by scouts with camo cloaks. I'm just excited in general, aren't I? Well, we get Sniper Scouts, which are, I think, 1750 of the same price as the other scouts. And 1750, so we're saving just under a tenner for this week's miniatures, which is fantastic. And Company and Chapter Champions is also on the inside, and Discover the Deathwatch. Excellent stuff, I love the Deathwatch. Let's turn to the first page. We've got Company and Chapter Champions. This tells us all about Company and Chapter Champions. Unbelievable, Jeff. So it talks about Company and Chapter Champions and how they are the best swordsmen of their respective chapter or company. So they are the foremost amongst their brothers in arms, and often they will be required to defend their captain or their chapter master even in honour duels and stuff like that on the battlefield. And there's a picture on the second page here of, I've not got the, remembered, I'm not going to put the picture up behind me, but it's a picture of an Emperor's champion, which is basically a Black Templars champion. Before battle, the Black Templars all meditate, and one of them, every now and again, every, say, 30 years or so, one of them will be struck by visions of the Emperor and a flaming sword and things like that. And they are then, that picks them out as the Emperor's champion. That is a message from the Emperor that they receive, and they go on to be the Emperor's champion until they fall or another Emperor's champion is selected. But they are more often than not foremost amongst the sword brethren of the Black Templars, and Black Templars are a very sword-heavy chapter of Space Marines. So that honour, being the Emperor's champion in the Black Templars, the company champion, chapter champion, effectively, that honour is huge. But it's a role given to them by the Emperor, supposedly, if you believe that sort of tripe. On to the next page, we get Sergeant Telion. We didn't know we were going to get this, but we've got scouts in this issue, and Sergeant Telion is a scout sergeant in the scout company of the Ultramarines. He's proved himself enough times that he would be a member of the first company if he just accepted that. But he doesn't accept that. He stays as part of the scout company because that's what he feels the need to do. He feels the drive to do that, to help nurture this new talent coming through the ranks, coming through the scout ranks of the Space Marines, and lead and aid his chapter in that way, in order to keep promoting new recruits into various different companies and teach them in the art of war. On to the next page, we get Forces of the Imperium Deathwatch. Now, Deathwatch are the alien fighting specialists of the Imperium and of the Space Marines, of all Space Marine chapters. But there's something special about them. The special thing about them, other than the fact that they are known for fighting aliens, and I've touched on this in previous videos, special thing about them is they're made up of Marines from all other chapters, or many other chapters. Each chapter that supplies Marines to the Deathwatch, they have a tithe, which every so often the Deathwatch will send out a message to the chapter saying we need more recruits, or maybe to a specific chapter. If they've heard of a Space Wolf, for example, with a particular talent at fighting Eldari forces, then they might be facing Eldari forces, so they might send out for this Space Wolf guy that they've heard of. All rank is given up as well when you join the Deathwatch, and their armour's painted black, which is slightly confusing for me, because the Deathwatch miniatures, the ones specifically designed for Deathwatch, I think they're sold as Deathwatch kill teams. They have Mark 10 armour, I think, or it's a very specific mark of armour with a high gorget, and yeah, it's a very particular looking type of armour that you don't see in any other chapters, or if you do, you see it in such low numbers. It's like not really relevant. Like certain captains will have it, and this armour, this Deathwatch specific armour, yeah, it's only you only really see it in the Deathwatch, so they don't really, in terms of miniatures anyway, it's not represented in this way unless you represent it this way yourself. They don't literally just paint their armour black, they get new armour, and it's painted black. But that's what the law says, so that's what GW would tell you, but they're lying to you, don't let them lie. Although, with the intercessors and stuff like that, all the newer Primaris Marines, which can be part of your Deathwatch forces, you do literally just paint the armour black. It's the same armour you'd have if you were fielding them as Ultramarines or as Imperial Fists or as whatever. But it's painted black, yeah. So there's nothing to stop you using some of the Death Guard armour as well. Deathwatch armour. There's nothing to stop you using that in any other Space Marine force. There's weapon options and stuff that you get in the kit that you probably won't be able to use in other Space Marine forces. But you know, it's if you want to do some cool little conversions and get a bit more variety amongst your tactical Marines or Devastator Marines or Assault Marines, whatever, then get yourself a Deathwatch kill team box and just forget about the left shoulder pad and the right shoulder pad. Maybe if it's your chapter, transfer it to the left. They also have a specialist flyer as well, which is known as a Corvus Black Star. It's a very sleek looking flyer. I really like it. It's almost like, when you look at it though, the body of it, it's like a saucer with like these little stubby wings almost. But I really like the look of it, just the silhouette of it. You can imagine it diving towards you. It looks like a sleek craft, more so than some of the other crafts, the Storm Raven and stuff like that. So, on to the next page, how to build Sniper Scouts. Simple enough, we just get one page showing us how to build Sniper Scouts. Frustrating thing about this and this particular kit for me is the camo cloaks are moulded to the torso and like part of the arms, the upper parts of the arms, and then you just glue the arms holding the sniper rifle onto those parts of the arms. It makes them easier to build than the other scout sprue that we've already had, the ones with their bolt guns, shotguns, close combat weapon options. It makes them easier to build. However, if you want to add camo cloaks to your other scouts, you can't do that. You have to do it yourself using green stuff, really. It's going to be really hard to just add the other weapon options to these arms to these torsos with camo cloaks on them, because of the way the arms are positioned and stuff. Without a little bit of modelling experience, you wouldn't. You'd struggle maybe. You might be all right, but you know, give it a go if you fancy a challenge. But be a bit cautious. I'd be a bit cautious if I was you in rushing into something like that. On to the next page, we get how to paint Sniper Scouts, and we get a cool little how to paint camo cloaks section in here as well. It gives us 3 options of how to paint camo cloaks, and you can see them behind me there. They look quite garish, I'd say, on there, but fear not. Turn to the last page of this how to paint section, and they've had a nice wash applied to them. Once the wash is applied, they look a little less garish and a little more inconspicuous. They look like you could blend into an urban building an urban setting rather than a particular urban building, but an urban setting, yeah. And they're quite nice. It's quite effective little colour scheme that they've done on each of these camo cloaks, and I like it. I've never seen a how to paint camo on a cloak tutorial before, so for me this is new stuff even for myself, and I've been in the hobby a number of years now. So on to the mission briefing. Hunters in the Shadows. This week's mission is all about these Sniper Scouts and the role, or it should be anyway. I'll get to what I mean by it should be in a second, but the role these Sniper Scouts should play on the battlefield really, and it's just promoting the use of them, a mission like this, in my opinion. It's the Death Guard are the characters of the Death Guard the leaders of the Death Guard are convening in a certain location on the planet, and they're having some kind of a conference, I don't know, an afternoon tea or something like that, a little catch up with your mates down the pub, and the Space Marines have realised that there's a number of Death Guard leaders amassing here in this area. A scout force has located them, and they're requesting reinforcements to try and take out these Death Guard high-ups and basically strike a blow against the Death Guard and aid the survival of the planet. The armies, though, there's a slight issue here in that the armies of the Death Guard army list must contain at least 3 models with a character keyword. Each army is 30 power rating, and 3 command points each. The Death Guard, like I said, must contain at least 3 characters, basically. The Space Marines, 3 command points again. Space Marines army must contain at least 3 battle line units. Battle line units have the triangle symbol on their datasheet in the upper left corner. So the scout squads are a battle line unit, but it doesn't specifically say take these sniper scouts. I would always take these sniper scouts in this mission, because what you've got to remember about characters is that you can't shoot them unless they're the closest enemy unit. However, the scouts with the sniper rifle have a special rule, or the sniper rifle itself has a special rule. This weapon may target a character even if it is not the closest enemy unit. If you roll a wound on a 6+ for this weapon, it inflicts a mortal wound in addition to its normal damage. So this sniper rifle is going to be extra effective against these Death Guard characters. So it's definitely worth, and it's also thematic as well, because it's a scout unit that located these Death Guard characters. So it's definitely going to be worth it to take these sniper scouts. I'd probably take your other scouts as well, and your intercessors. I can't think whether Reavers are elites or battle line. Now, it might only be the case that if you take... It might be the case, rather, that the only battle line units you have as the Space Marine player are basically the 2 squads of scouts and a squad of intercessors. That might be the case, so that may be why they don't tell you specifically take a squad of sniper scouts. Yeah, just thinking about it, that could be the case actually. But onto deployment anyway, or let's talk about the battle mats at first. The battle mats, you're using 3 battle mats again, and you roll off to see who places the first one. Whoever wins places the first one, the loser places the second one, and the winner places the third one. And then players roll off. The winner chooses a deployment zone. There's deployment zone A and B. It's the whole of one of the battle mats at either end of the battlefield. Players then alternate deploying their units, beginning with the player who lost the roll. After all units have been deployed, the player who finished setting up their army first can choose to take the first or second turn. And now, with deployment, whoever deploys their army first gets to choose who takes first or second turn. That's fantastic, because you could deliberately choose fewer units than your opponent, where in previous issues I've said they've got the same number of units, so there's no advantage. As soon as you know who's going to start deploying the units first, you know who's going to finish deploying them first. So that wasn't relevant in previous issues, but now you can have a different number of units to your opponent based on a maximum power rating of 30. So that's a little thing to think about there. And victory conditions: a Space Marine player gains 2 victory points for each enemy character eliminated. The Death Guard player gains 2 victory points for eliminating an enemy battle line unit. Kill the enemy warlord, 1 victory point. This game lasts 5 battle rounds, so it's a pretty short one. Well, I say it's a pretty short one. They're all 5 battle rounds in Conquest, it seems. Your next Conquest. What do we get next week? We get another Hemotrope Reactor. This is a lovely bit of terrain. I always bang on about how much I love terrain, and, this bit of terrain with a massive mechanical skull on it. What could be better in the 41st millennium? I don't know. Then, the following week, we get a Plague Marine Champion. Now, the Plague Marine Champion is a model that will help us complete a unit of Plague Marines. We've got 7 Plague Marines from Dark Imperium. We've got 2 sets of 3 Plague Marines from the easy to build Plague Marines. And we've got a Plague Marine with Icon Bearer. And now we've got Plague Marine Champion as well. You can get rid of one of your repeated Plague Marines if you want, from the easy to build ones, and swap him out for a Plague Marine Champion. Then you've got 2 squads of 7, or you can just run a squad of 7 and a squad of 8 if you wanted to. Anyway, that is about where I'll leave it for now. It's been a shorter issue, I think. I'm assuming it has. It feels like I've done this a lot quicker than recent videos. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the Hobby Corner. I've got a cold, that's why I wanted to keep this one brief, so I didn't just start coughing all over the place. I'm amazed I've kept it together this long. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the battlefield.